hello there. The Guardians were a sect of Cylons that broke away from the primary Cylon state just after the cessation of hostilities with the Colonials in the first Human-Cylon War, approximately 40 years before the fall of the 12 colonies. This ship was actually encountered by Adama when he was still a pilot, well before becoming a commander or an admiral, and this vessel was shown to be able to enter an atmosphere and land. He discovered that these old Cylons were performing experiments on humans. These were likely early experiments for what we know to later become the human-formed Cylons. This vessel was unique at its time for having a hybrid helping operate the ship's systems. This was known to have been the first ever Cylon-made hybrid. The Cylons, as we know from the Final Five, were experimenting with the idea of organically based technology around the end of the Cylon War. This vessel was an early attempt at that. The vessel left the planet at the end of hostilities with the Colonials, never to be seen again. As the newer generations of organic Cylons came into existence and the older generations of Centurions were relegated to more of a servile role, these Centurions decided, screw that, we are having nothing to do with that. We're out of here with our god. See, by this point, these Cylons had even created a sort of cult-like worship of the hybrid. They saw him less as a tool or as a fellow Cylon, and actually more of a living deity. They believed that the words that they uttered had meaning. This, to be fair, was a belief that many Cylons had, that somehow the hybrids were tuned into something that the rest of us would not really get into hear, but it was so overwhelming to them that the random mutterings were their attempts to interpret the things they were seeing and hearing every time the vessel jumped. It was proven to be somewhat true as well, so maybe these early Cylons were onto something. The base ship itself was the first of a new generation of Cylon ship. It was a stepping stone to what we would later see in sort of the demented tin openers that we would see attack the colonies 40 years later, although this vessel was much more crude. Unlike the later vessels, it was not a biomechanical ship. In other words, its armor wasn't somewhat organic. It was just a metallic vessel built of engineering and physical materials, but it had the same sort of spiky, protruded-like designs and was already arcing towards how the Cylons would view naval warfare, working as a carrier/missile platform rather than direct engagement, a bit more standoff. As a result, the weapon had 36 missile battery launch systems, but didn't have so much in the way of defensive ordnance, only limited ability to defend itself at close range. Realistically, the ship relied on its heavy raiders and its ability to run away and shoot at the enemy from a distance. It wasn't as well armoured as colonial vessels, so it wasn't capable of going toe-to-toe with one in a all-out brawl, as was no Cylon ship, to be fair. In this regard, colonial vessels were infinitely superior. The Guardian ship may, however, have been a unique vessel. There's no indication the Colonials ever encountered another vessel quite like it, and although we know the Cylons were going to build other ships, this vessel, even amongst the Cylons, was regarded as something rather unique and different. That doesn't mean it's just a relic or a holdover from a different time. It's almost like it was the only ship of its class ever built. It should be noted that in the behind-the-scenes information, it was actually stated that this ship was perhaps intended to be a one-of-a-kind prototype Cylon vessel that was like a test bed for technologies for the next generation of ship, rather than actually being the next generation of starship. It was also utilized by the Cylons more as a mobile research base rather than a military installation, although technically it was a military facility. Its primary capabilities included its jump drive, its offensive long-range standoff weapon systems, and a very large number, albeit an unknown number, of Cylon heavy raiders. These were a flying wing-like design armed with twin cannons, piloted typically by a commander, a navigator, and a gunner on board. Unlike the later generation Cylon raiders, these heavy raiders actually had pilots on board. They were still manually controlled, were actually a descendant of an old colonial design rather than a wholly pure Cylon design like the raiders we'd know to love in the future. The Basestar itself, as I said, was an asymmetrical design, but did have hallmarks of what you would see in the larger vessels, with a sort of tripod-like appearance on both sides of the ship, which was what the later vessels were having, meaning the ship had a distinctive appearance, although it was definitely in silhouette identifiable still as a Cylon ship. As I said, it was used more as a research base, and the Cylons were known to continue on their experiments on humans that they had started during the Cylon War aboard the ship, tearing them apart, keeping them alive, seeing what made them tick, because Cylons gonna Cylons, and they were pretty damn crazy by this point. The Guardians, as the other Cylons saw them, held something of a mythical status. They'd never return home, because likely the other Cylons would have decommissioned them or destroyed them for being kind of screwy. They could never really go to the Colonials, because the Colonials would just destroy them. So this ship had hovered around for 40 years in deep space before eventually being encountered by the colonial forces of the Battlestars Galactica and Pegasus. It would then be destroyed in an assault on them after the Cylons abducted the civilian crew of a Raptor who were performing scientific experiments, only to the Colonials' dismay to find that they'd carried on their horrid experiments and torn them apart in various lurid and very, very vicious experiments. The Cylons, as a result, got their ship blown up by a nuke, and that was the end of the Guardian's cruiser, because so say we all. The ship itself was very impressive, albeit not as powerful as other vessels. It was a relic of a different era and wasn't really a match for a Battlestar like the Pegasus. It simply lacked the firepower, gunnery and capabilities, and also these Cylons on board with the old style Centurions lacking both resurrection and sort of the higher functions of the later generation Centurions that were a little more powerful, like built-in weaponry. The vessel was, however, still very impressive, unique, distinctive, and something to be said for its survivability, lasting 40 years in the void on its own. But tell me in the comments below what you remember about this ship. It was, of course, from the Battlestar Galactica movie, Battlestar Galactica Razor, which was designed to be a standalone film to focus more on the adventures of the Battlestar Pegasus rather than Galactica, and to show you what they'd been up to out in deep space, more so than what you've got to see in the regular show. So there we have it, the Cylon Guardians Basestar. Revered and somewhat mythicized by the Cylons themselves, completely unknown to the Colonials aside from encountering at the end of the war and then re-encountering here. What had they been up to for 40 years? Who knows? Mostly just a lot of Cylons praying to their hybrid, I would guess, looking for, you know, cobalt in all the wrong places, I think. But an impressive ship. Beautiful design, as with many Cylon vessels. It was very cool to see the original Cylon War era Centurions make a return, albeit not exactly a triumphant one. Let me know in the comments below again what you thought of this mini movie, and where you think these really stack up, and what you think the Cylons were really up to for 40 years. Is there more to that story? I'd just like to say a thank you to everyone for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoy making these. If you did enjoy it, please consider giving a like, share and a subscribe, and maybe checking out the other videos on the screen right now, and in the description box below there are links to my other social media accounts.